Today we're going to talk about how to start shading your tin and some shading techniques that I want you to do. So when you start to shade your selfie tin, I'm going to be grading your creativity and how creative you are with your shading. Did you take your time on each drawing? Did you shade and draw with at least 10 minutes on each image? And for coloring, I'm going to talk about how to do transitions today, how to do value changes, and how to add different colors in your design. So one thing today that I want you to think about is when you're in elementary school and a teacher gave you a coloring sheet to color. Let's pretend that it's a pumpkin. And the teacher gives you that coloring sheet. I guarantee that most elementary students, when they're coloring that pumpkin, is going to color that pumpkin completely solid orange. It's going to be the same tone, and it's going to be the same color of orange all the way across that pumpkin. We're not in elementary anymore, so we're going to start to learn and practice using different shading techniques. So the first shading technique is doing color transitions. And color transitions are super fun to do. And how you want to start your transitions is you're going to shade very dark at first. And then as you go down your shape, you want to start shading lighter. So you're going to change the pressure of your shading as you're shading. You want to pay very close attention to your edges. I don't want to see any sloppy, messy shading. Take your time, do a good job. And then as I come down to the bottom of my shape, I'm going to shade really lightly all the way down to the bottom. My shading is very smooth. There's not much lines in my shading. My edges are clean. I have dark to light shading. So now to do a transition is making it look like it's changing from one color to another. So the transition to do the next color, you're just going to add your second color, do the same exact technique that you just did, but except this time you're going to start on the bottom and start very dark. And how it looks like it's changing from one color to another is overlapping your two colors. So underneath this teal that I'm coloring has a little bit of purple. And I'm going to take my light teal all the way up to my darker purple, just like I did over here. Again, on this side, I'm going to take that dark, lots of pressure. Careful on my edges not to go over so my shading looks very nice, clean, neat. And then I'm going to take my shading all the way up here, just like I did on the C. Now, I'm noticing that my A is a little bit lighter than my C, so I'm going to add a little bit more shading on the teal side and the purple side. How it looks like it's changing is that overlapping. You got to make sure you overlap those two colors. Alright, so that's how to do transitions, and you're going to practice this in just a second in your comp book on doing transitions and making sure that you can do this and practice doing that. So once you've outlined your images with Sharpie pen, then you can start to shade. When you are shading, I would like you to shade with value changes and also transitions. So value changes are nice to do because when you're doing value changes, you don't lose detail. If I were to color all of this cat the same tone of black, you're not going to be able to tell where the tail is according to where this leg is. So if the leg wasn't lighter right there and it didn't have that contrast, then that design or that detail is going to get lost in your shading. So start shading with value. If I were to do this taco, I'm going to do some value shading. Maybe start dark and then get lighter as you are shading. Then another technique or something you could try is adding different colors on top of other colors. So I'm going to add some yellow in there on top of that light so I can get more of that taco color that I'm looking for. So mixing colors and having that value change. So here's an example of what you can do for some value changes and some different shading techniques. So next, what I'd like you to do is in your comp book, you are going to draw a small oval, not a huge oval, about the size of the tip of your finger. So draw an oval in your comp book. And I want you all to practice and get comfortable with doing shading transitions. So start dark, go very slow on those edges, take your time, gradually take the pressure off your pencil. So it should be going dark to light all the way down to about there. Try to keep your shading clean on your edges. Down at the bottom, right down here, I want it to be very light. Then take your second color. Dark at the bottom, very careful on the edges. About here, you want to do a medium tone, then gradually get lighter. Remember that when you do transitions, it's all about mixing the two colors together. So when I come up here, I'm definitely getting that teal on top of that purple. I'm going to add a little bit more purple on top of that teal. So that's what I want to see in your comp book. So changing from one color to another. When you're choosing your colors, you want to do two different colors like red and green. You don't want to do pink and pink because if you do a dark pink and a lighter pink, you're not going to be able to see that transition very well.